Greetings, I'm back. Today I just thought I'd give you all a quick update on the Subaru because I haven't made a video in a while about it and people are curious, so yeah, we'll just jump right into it. So first off, I'm just going to start by saying I lied in the last video about this car when I said I wasn't really going to do anything more. It turns out I was about to undertake a big suspension change. So I put in some coilovers and a couple other things just to get everything balanced. So yeah. But right now I'm undertaking a new project. My steering rack, it's kind of sloppy and it's got a hole in one of the boots, and rather than just like replacing that boot like I thought I was going to do previously, I figured I'd just get a whole new steering rack and throw on some other upgrades along the way. But just as a quick side note, this does have to do with what I'm doing. When you lower a car, you change the suspension geometry. So you generally get a lot of negative camber, especially in the rear, when you do something like this. So I probably lowered my car about 2 inches. It's a nice like all-around height, but for the winter it could be higher. So yeah, something I didn't know before I had started this was that my rear camber was going to be really affected. So I was running 3 degrees negative camber in the rear with the stock control arms in the rear. So I had to switch to white line adjustable rear control arms, which I didn't have an adjustable toe. I had just bought like the OEM toe arm. I'm now running 1.7 degrees in the rear, and the front's a little better. The camber can actually be adjusted a fair bit. So I'm running 1.5 degrees negative camber in the front. And yeah, I'm just trying to dial in the setup for autocross season this year, or the 2020 season. But in the 2019 season, I only did 2 events. I don't know, I didn't really have that much time, but it was really good. For the couple of times I went out there, it did pretty well. So yeah, I'll just go into some of the parts that I'm going to be doing. But these are the parts I'm going to be upgrading. So these are the OEM tie rod ends. And for lowered vehicles, these don't really do the trick. It just depends on how much you're lowering it. But on my car, it's a fair bit. So the ones that I got are actually a little bit bigger. But after a autocross day this summer, I discovered they were leaking. Probably because my car was too low for these type of tie rod ends. So that's one of the other reasons I'm replacing them, just due to reliability and better performance. What actually happens when you lower a car is the control arms, they're sitting at an angle, and they kind of get evened out after you lower it, which it kind of induces roll, and it generally isn't the best for performance. So to combat that, I went along with my white line rear adjustable control arms, and I figured I'd buy some other white line stuff since I really liked that. So my first thing that I'll show y'all is what I just talked about. Some better tie rods. So these have a longer length, so they will align the suspension geometry back to the OEM spec, which is what you want, along with some ball joints for the control arm as well, which are also longer and probably will last longer as well, which is what I want. So while I have the ball joints out for the installation of Whiteline's roll center kit. I also thought I would do their anti-lift kit, which adds 5 degrees positive caster to the front wheels with the help of an eccentric bolt and new front bushings, because as you can see, these ones are, like, they're not bad. They're probably going to last a while, but they have some poly ones that'll really help out with steering feel and turn-in. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing an all-out steering feel thing. And finally, the last thing I'm installing is Whiteline steering rack bushings. So there's a couple different ones. There's this large one which fits around the girth of the steering rack and bolts into a bracket. And then there are a couple of smaller ones in the bottom, which the old ones I already pressed out, but fuck, ignore that. Yeah, the old ones I already pressed out, but these new poly ones are going in. And for anybody that's experienced Subaru steering before, it generally, the steering feel is, it's all right, but like when you're in center and you kind of like, you got to kind of load it up to get some feel. So I'm just trying to make it all around better and more of a pleasure to drive. So I've got many things off. I've got the control arms, front control arms off, the front sway bar off, and I'm in the process. I got the tie rod ends off, so all I need to do is disconnect the power steering lines and then unbolt the main bolts that hold the power steer, or the steering rack in. Okay, so I finally got it out. It took many hours. Many things had to be taken off. I had to drop the entire exhaust minus the headers. Yeah, I'm exhausted. No pun intended. But here's the trophy. Behold. So yeah, this definitely took some time. And I think I'm pretty much done for the day. I need to shower because, like, I'm real dirty, so I'll keep you updated. Start this tomorrow, I guess. So yeah, just look at the colossal many things I've done. The rack is completely out. It's bare and lonely. Okay, so it's currently the next day. Really all I've done is I just pressed out the rubber bushings and put in these new Whiteline ones for the anti-lift kit. So if y'all can see that. Nice. So yeah, I guess the next step is maybe to get the ball joints in. Yeah. Alright, so I've done more stuff. I've just put in the anti-lift kit bushings. So this is what allows it to have the positive caster. So it's set at maximum positive caster right now, as you can see. And I've also put in the roll center adjustment kit into the control arms. Still needs the tie rod ends in the steering rack, and I'm yet to put the steering rack in. But yeah, just so you can see them in the housing there. They look very nice and spick and span. And yeah, I'm using KCA 334, which is the part number. Alright, so now I'm doing the other Whiteline, the last Whiteline thing I have to install, which is the steering rack bushings, part number KSR 207. So yeah, these bushings, some of them go right there, 2 of them go in there, and then 1 of them goes right there. So the smaller ones are these 2 right here, and then whoops, this is the bigger one. So I cleaned some stuff up, and now they should be ready to put in. Alright, so I've gotten both of these bushings in, but this one needs to wait because the bracket needs to get bolted onto it when it's under the car. So now, gotta undo these here and put these in so I can connect the power steering rack and get it in. So it took a little bit of work, but I got the lines hooked up. So now I'm gonna see about getting it under there. Alright, so it's currently midnight on, started this on Friday, barely. So I guess like the third day. Yeah, anyways. I got the new steering rack in. I got it all bolted in. Now all I need to do is put the bolt up the power steering lines. Here, I'll just show you guys. Alright, so going under here, my beautiful brand new rack, I bolted up some of these mounts, and then all I need to do is get these power steering lines hooked up. And I got the I forget what it's called. I guess that's like the steering gear mount. I marked the splines. I used the other one as a reference, so it should work. But yeah, hopefully I don't run into many more problems on the next steps.